Even with a lot of planting experience, sometimes yellow leaves can still feel confusing while you're trying to work it out. It could be too much of something, it could be too little of something, or it could be something else completely different. But today we're cracking the code together with my troubleshooting flowchart that's going to help us. And actually it might be a bit easier than you think. Now, yellow leaves can be from quite a few different things because it's the end result of your plant just not being happy. So today in this video, we're just going to walk through 7 big things that it could be causing your yellow leaves, from most likely to least likely, just like my yellow leaf flowchart shows you, and you can grab that below for free and run through it while we're going through this video. I've honestly been there recently with my beautiful peperomia, watching those first fall off, trying to figure out exactly what happened. So let's make this easy and go through it together. You know when you walk past a plant and you see that yellow leaf and you start to almost mildly panic, you're like, oh, what is going on here? Well, this first issue, to be honest, is the one you don't need to panic about at all. And it's if you've only got one yellow leaf somewhere along the plant. Usually that yellow leaf is going to be right at the bottom. This is a propagation, as you can see there. And the yellow leaf is right down the bottom near the base. Now, I have a bit of a confession. This literally came off about a minute before I started recording when I picked it up. So it was definitely time for this leaf to fall off naturally. And that is pattern number 1. It's just natural aging. That is just the plant doing the thing. And the plant is just letting go of its older leaves to push more energy upwards into the new growth. And especially because this is a cutting and a propagation and it's still finding its maturity, it needs more energy up the top than down the bottom. So this is very natural. I'm not worried about that plant whatsoever. The leaf has literally fallen off naturally for me, and I'm just gonna let that one go. If it's bugging you, you can cut it off, but ultimately they fall off pretty easily if it's just natural. And you know that it's a natural aging and there's not really an issue because you can still see that leaf is very, flat. It's not soft, it's not curled, it's not nothing. It's just very flat, it's just natural aging. Just while we're on this note, now this isn't alocasia, and alocasias are very well known to grow one leaf and let go of another. Alocasias are a little bit of a diva in a way. You get to about 3 leaves, and then once you grow the 4th leaf, the oldest leaf comes off or just ages off naturally. Now, there is a way to help not do that. You got to give it more light and everything, and I'm going to create a whole video around how to look after your alocasias and how to get more leaves than just 3. I promise that's definitely coming. But ultimately, 1 leaf aging off of a plant is fairly natural for your plant. You don't have to worry about it, especially if your plant has a lot of leaves up the top. But what if it is more than 1 yellow leaf? Okay, well, pattern number 2, the second most likely thing it could be, is when several leaves are turning yellow and they actually feel a little bit soft and mushy. Is mushy a real word? I use it a lot, but mushy. And to be honest, this is probably the one that everybody tells you is the reason behind yellow leaves on social media. They literally look like they're packed full of soggy water and they're overwatering. And basically it could lead to root rot. It's a very dangerous place to be in. And recently my poor peperomia taught me this the hard way. I don't normally overwater. I normally am the very opposite, but I have this, or I had this beautiful peperomia, lovely pink one I bought recently. And it's a soft leaf peperomia, and they're fairly specific in the way they liked to be looked after. And I kept the soil too wet while I was still learning about this plant. And for a long time there, it looked beautiful. It had all of this fresh new growth. And then all of a sudden the leaves started going soft and mushy. And to be honest, they didn't even go yellow. They went straight to brown, right? So the leaf wasn't hard and flat like you saw just before. It was soft and mushy. And I knew it was overwatering because it wasn't just a couple of leaves. It was almost the whole plant started to drop all of its leaves in a very quick succession over maybe 3 or 4 days or a week or so. It felt very fast for that plant. That was overwatering. Oh, it's heartbreaking. It's like a sucker punch right there. I loved that plant. But lesson learned, I'm going to try and buy another one somewhere, definitely. Now, don't forget, I do have this whole yellow leaf flowchart if you want it. Just grab it. It's free in the download. It's yours to keep forever and ever. And it walks you through all of these patterns that I'm talking about today visually, so you don't have to guess or remember this full video. Now, like me, you might be thinking, well, I barely water mine. Well, that's exactly the next pattern. This is very me, I must admit. And that is when you get your yellow leaves, but they're crispy and they're shriveled and they're a little bit hard, and especially they start at the tips or at the edges. Maybe the soil is pulling away from the pot edges a little bit. That is classic underwatering. That is classic Leafy, Lovin, 𝐷𝐸 style. And I'll show you an example. Now this guy is in lacquer. I have about 3 of these alocasia silver drags, but can you see here, it's all edging on the side, and that's a little bit of a problematic crispiness, and that leaf is just going to go and shrivel up. Now that's a little bit of overwatering and then it's gone to underwatering. So I've done a little bit of both in this case, but ultimately I'm just trying to show you that the leaf is very crispy. It's not soft and mushy and floppy and all of that. It's very crispy and it's happening to the full leaf in one go. But because I have kept it watered a little bit better, it's a self-watering pot, which I just left too long. The newest leaf here has come out nice, right? So I could save that easily because I've just underwatered, but these are going to come off very quickly. So underwatering is classic crispiness from too little water and just too much dryness, and the plant just can't hold itself. It's trying its darndest. And while these older leaves will fall off, the newer leaves will come out okay. So I want to show you another example of underwatering. And this is, as you can see, big crispy leaves. So they're not soft and they're not droopy. And another sign is my leaves are a little bit wrinkly on the outside. Now I have treated this already, so the new leaves on this Sansevieria, to be honest, has come back and they seem okay, but there's still a lot of wrinkles, which tells me it's been underwatered, too much sun, not enough water, and especially those crispy leaves underneath are just not good. Okay, so if it's not aging, it's not underwatering, it's not overwatering, then the next likely one is probably one that you may not realize at the time. It might take you a little bit more experience or understanding to get this one. But if your leaves are starting to yellow, mostly maybe on one side of the plant, or if the bottom of the stem starts to become bare while the top of the stem is still growing, then that is a classic light problem. It means you probably don't have enough light on your plant. So I've got another example. Can you see this plant? See how all these leaves are fine up the top except this one at the bottom? Now you might think that could be aging and could be okay, but actually, because this is a variegated plant and the stem, it's starting to lose all of its lower leaves. So if I take that one off, then I've got all of this bare stem down the bottom and still leaves up the top, right? Whereas natural aging will just get rid of one here and there that it just doesn't like. So they can look similar, but natural aging is nothing to worry about, whereas lower lighting, especially if you've got variegated plants, they need a lot of light to keep the variegation going because they don't get a lot of energy. All the energy comes out of the green part, not the white part. So you need to give this guy a lot of light, and this one just hasn't have it. So this plant doesn't have enough energy to hold the full plant steady and luscious, and it needs to get rid of some leaves to keep the new growth, which it's going to prioritize up the top. Okay, so far we've covered aging, overwatering, underwatering, and lighting. And to be honest, I think about 80% of your plants might have one of those issues. But what if you checked all of that and it's none of that? Okay. Well, the next, underwatering and lighting, and to be honest, I think about 80% of your plants might have one of those issues. But what if you checked all of that and it's none of that? Okay. Well, the next one is probably the sneakiest one, to be honest, and it's a bit of a curveball that trips quite a few people up. You might not know it's even happening. So pattern number 5 is when you've got yellow leaves. It might be on a new plant, or your yellow leaves are coming right after you've moved the plant or repotted the plant. Maybe you're putting it into a new spot near a window. All of this causes your plant stress, and that is pattern number 5. It's yellow leaves from stress. Your plant just isn't happy. Did you know plants actually stress? I didn't know that for a long time, but yes, they don't like a bad environment. They might have moved from a really lovely environment to an environment that has more stress. Maybe it's more drafty. Maybe it's next to a heater. Maybe it doesn't have as much light as where it was before, right? The great news here though is most of those plants will go through that stress, get used to that new spot if it's got fairly good conditions still, and they will bounce back in maybe 2, 3, 4 weeks if you keep those conditions super steady and they are the right conditions for that plant. It's just gone, okay, I'm freaking out a little bit, I'm gonna lose a leaf or two, right, now I'm steady again, I'll be back, right? Your plant just needs to readjust itself to the space, and it tries to conserve its own energy knowing it's a little bit stressed, but it'll realize that it's not stressed in a couple of weeks if you keep that environment steady and you keep that in the same spot. So in this case, pattern number 5, patience pays off big time here. Even if you're pacing around watching that plant every day and waiting for something to happen, you just got to leave it alone, okay? So pattern number 5, from transplant shock or stress or movement, just let it be and let it get used to its new place. So we've got 2 more to go now, and these are probably the least likely, but they're also the ickiest. Is that a word? Bushy and icky? I've got to look these up in a dictionary. Anyway, right. Pattern number 6 is spotty leaves. And usually the leaves are yellowing on the outside with some kind of perhaps sticky residue, or maybe there's little bits of fluff or tiny little bugs or something like that. And that's because, as I just mentioned, pests have snuck in onto that leaf. And sometimes with pests, especially for things like spider mites, you don't even know that that pest is there because those pests are slowly sucking the energy or the sap or the moisture out of that plant, out of that leaf. So it happens slowly but surely. You can see here on this one, this is actually, it kind of looks like overwatering because it's soft and mushy, the leaves are curled, they're not flat. But if you look up close, I'll show you a close up, I can see a white spot and a white spot. So that's merely bugs. So it's pests, not overwatering, even though it looks the same. And then, yep, if I turn that leaf over, look, merely bugs. I hate merely bugs. So pest damage, you won't notice straight away. You might think it's something else, but you go up to that leaf, you have a look at the leaves, and you'll find the pests. So that's the difference between overwatering and pest damage. This is pest damage, not overwatering, even though it kind of looks the same until I get up close. Now, with something like thrips, you'll see yellow dots all over the leaf, or again, that sticky residue. If it's spider mites, you usually find that the edges of the leaves are going yellow first, and it's all down the bottom, usually near the tip and the edges, and it slowly but surely goes in. I have a new way of getting rid of mealybugs that works for me now, and it's had long-term good effects or positive effects where I haven't had mealybugs on my plants. I have shared that in my members area. If you want to join my YouTube members area, it is something that works for me. It's brilliant for mealybugs, but obviously there's lots of pests. So just treat them with some kind of spray or oil or concoction or the good type of bugs, because pests do spread fast. And if your plant is not healthy and it gets pests, then that plant can't fight those pests off. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It just keeps going. And then the last one from this yellow leaf Dakota is the number 7 pattern. And to be honest, this is going to be the least likely of all. I don't think in my 8 years of plant care, I've ever had a problem like this, or that I've known, maybe once. And this is where even yellowing everywhere doesn't have really obvious clues. And it's probably because there is a nutrient deficiency. Now that can take years or several months to happen, or maybe it's over fertilizing, but some kind of nutrient, too much or too little, nutrient deficiency is wreaking havoc on your plant leaf. And as I said, it takes a long time to come through, and sometimes those leaves aren't technically going yellow spots, they could be browning spots, or they could be something else. So yellowing leaves can come from nutrient deficiency in a weird and freaky kind of way. It doesn't look natural at all. So the best way to do that is to try and go back in your timeline and just think to yourself, have I been fertilizing too much or too little? Have I given it the smaller elements as well as the NP and K? You do have to give it fertilizer just to help it out a little bit. It's like giving your plant vitamins. It's got the sun for energy, but it needs those vitamins to keep it strong and healthy. But just make sure if you're seeing those yellow leaves, you ruled out everything else in this yellow leaf flowchart. Make sure all of those other things are ruled out before you say it's nutrient deficiency, because it's only going to be 0.001% of the time, I would imagine, when you've got a yellow leaf. So that's your checklist, right? In that order. So if it's one old leaf, it's probably aging. If it's multiple soft leaves without anything else, it's probably overwatering. If it's crispy, like most of mine, it's probably underwatering. If you've had some recent changes, then that is from stress. One side of the plant or the whole base of the plant is starting to fall off slowly but gradually. That is definitely not enough light. Sticky residue or spots, sticky spots, that is definitely pests. And then if nothing of those is really working, you've got a couple of small weird yellow spots here and there, that might be nutrient deficiency. But go through an order, as I said, and it's probably one of those 7 that we've talked about. So you've used my yellow leaf flowchart, things are fixed, you've rescued your plants, and now you are propagating or buying plants like crazy. Honestly, I have been loving my plants, but right now I have too many plants. And so I've started to sell extras to other fellow plant lovers to make space for myself, and because I know other people will love plants just as much as I do. And boom, I have coffee money now, I have extra top-ups for the grocery, I can buy extra grow lights if I need to. I've got all of these little wins from selling my plants, and it's just given me that extra little bit of cash. It's not paying my mortgage, but it's that extra little bit of cash that I can put back into my plants, which I'm loving. So I've actually created something called Sell My Plants Toolkit. Sell My Plants is like it says on the tin, right? So it's not confusing. and it takes plant selling, honestly, to the next level. It's got tracking sheets, so you know you're making money, not losing money. I give you algorithm hacks on how to use Facebook or Etsy or Gumtree or even the plant-specific places. You can get the most out of those little tips and tricks to make sure that your selling posts are right at the front. And I've even built a custom AI that will scan your local marketplace and show you real-time pricing and give you the perfect script for your listing. And all of that AI is not behind a paywall, because I have found a way to offer that AI to you on my website. You don't have to have ChatGPT $20 a month, something. No subscriptions are needed, because honestly, I cover those costs because I'm the one who's offered the AI. Honestly, this is the tool that I wish I had when I was starting out selling plants. It would have made my life a lot easier, which is why I created it in the first place. If you want to check it out more, you want to make a bit of side money from growing your plants or start an actual side hustle with selling plants, then have a look. The link is in the description below. Okay, so now you know how to rescue your plants, but what if those new leaf that are growing are really small? Well, don't stress, because I've got a video explaining exactly why that happens right next for you to go to. That is it for today. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope yellow leaves just seemed that little bit simpler for you today, and my yellow leaf flowchart will help you do that very easily. Thank you very much for joining me. As always, have a week full of leaves, love and laughter, and make sure you go and check out this video right here. See you later, guys. Bye.